Hey fellow travelers, Canada's wildfire season is already breaking records again. Sadly, we know every road trip can turn into a smoky one in a heartbeat. Knowing how to stay safe not only protects you, but also the communities and the firefighters to keep everybody safe. So stick around for 5 proven tips that will keep your adventure on track, plus the real-time tools that locals use every day. So welcome back to Go Canada, your Swiss-born guide to Western Canada best kept secrets. Let's dive into number 1. So starting with the first tip on this list. What do you need to do before you start, or before you're going into your holidays, or if you plan to drive to the next place the next day, is to plan your route around active fire zones. How can you do that? So one thing is you go to Google Maps, as I have it on screen already. And then, in this case, I show British Columbia, you go down to the place where you can change the view of the map. And there is an option called More. In my case, it is in German. You press More, and then you can choose an icon with a fire on it. Mine is written in German, so Brände. I click on it, and then you get an idea where the fires are. They are regularly updated. There are always some time lags on it, but what you can do is actually you're gonna scroll down and see where the fires are. In that case, there is one called the in the Peaser Regional District, close to Tumble Ridge, that shows a wildfire. Why is this important? Because if you know where the fires are, you can plan your trip accordingly. Another way to find out where the fires are, you can go to the National Resources Canada homepage with the Canadian Wildland Fire Information System. And there it shows you several things about the fires, how to stay safe, where to find things, numbers, etc., etc. And one thing that is very helpful is the interactive map, because that one shows you on a more real-time basis where the fires are. And obviously, the redder it is, the better. Not better, better, meaning there's high danger of fire, or even fire is raging in these regions. And we see here, the place we saw beforehand, it's somewhere up here, where the fires are. So with that in mind, when you're planning your route, you can plan accordingly where you want to drive and take a detour if necessary, because these are the things that can turn a day trip to certain places from a nightmare into a smooth travel experience. And I can talk here from first-hand experience. We were 2 years ago in Canada. I try to be there always on a yearly basis, but it's a bit budget heavy when you have a family, and tickets from Switzerland to Canada aren't always cheap. But having said that, we have been there in the summer 2 years ago, and we actually went directly into the road blockage where we were told to turn around and take another route. The most direct route was closed because of a heavy fire raging in the region, and if you would have looked properly on Google Maps and even on this page, then we would have known we should have taken a detour in the first place, which would have saved us hours of driving time on the route, and would have been easier for the kids as well. Then what you can do as another option that I recommend, especially if you know before you start into your holidays, if you might need to organize an air quality monitor, a portable one for on the go, because we know if you want to make nice pictures, that's less bad thing, but we have to stay safe and healthy, right? But it can ruin your pictures, that's one hand. That's the less important thing, but especially if you're a person that has asthma, it might be crucial to have a monitor on the go that you can track if the air quality is good enough or not, that you can react in due time when you feel like the air is getting less good. You can find these type of monitors online on Amazon or on other places. Maybe you can go to the next outdoor shop, they probably have it too. And some of them are very cheap. That one is shown in euro because I'm in Switzerland, so it shows me the European version of the whole thing. But you see, they aren't that expensive. Some of them are super portable, not too expensive, and you can bring them everywhere. The third thing on the list I want to talk about is at certain sites for provinces, there might be a chance that you can subscribe to notifications, that you are always up to date in regards to the wildfire season. If there's anything that will have an impact on your travel. I know from the British Columbia webpage, they have an app which keeps you up to date on the current situation. There are also other pages for Manitoba, Alberta and Saskatchewan. And I didn't find there any subscription option or notification option that keeps you up to date, but they have dedicated web pages, so you can mark them in your browser so that you can check the day before or days before to make sure that you are not going to be trapped in a wildfire, or if there's any fire that will have an impact on the place you're staying. One important thing that I want to highlight here is these tips aren't just about keeping you safe, they're also about minimizing the strain on local resources and supporting the incredible efforts of those firefighters that are helping to diminish the fires or get rid of them. I know that's not the perfect thing, but you know what I mean. And by staying prepared and informed, you're helping to protect communities and landscapes we all cherish. So the four things I want to talk about is to build a go bag for wildfire evacuation cases, which include basic things like to have a water bottle ready in a bag together with non-perishable snacks, masks that will help you in the case of heavy smoke, phone chargers like that one, maybe even use a power bank or prepare one in your bag like that one. And with that, you don't need to, or you're not going to be in a stress or hurry when you need to prepare everything that makes you ready to leave. You won't forget anything this way, so you are well prepared. So no last minute scavenger hunts, in other words. Quick pit stop. If you find these things helpful, then hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment and maybe mention your tips or your insights, what you think is important that one needs to put in your bag, and one thing that surprised you the most, or one story that you had with a situation where you were affected by a wildfire. So let's get back to it. So the fifth thing I want to talk about and touch on, the fifth tip, is what you need to think of when you book your vacations. If you know the route and you know where the wildfires are currently at, you might need to think of to get in touch with the accommodations or the campsites, ask them what happens if the wildfires are close, what the impact will be, and also maybe they have some fire drill procedures in place. And with that I mean they know exactly what to do in the case of a fire raging close by, so you know you are in a safe place, and if there's something happening, you know you're in good hands and the people know what to do. So just in case, that's an additional add-on that you can think of and makes traveling easier, and you know need to be worried, especially as the wildfire's intensity grows each year, or that's my gut feeling from my point of view. So in other words, this way you should be prepared and should have a good idea what to do. Having said that, as you are going to prepare for the wildfire season, or for your next trip to Canada where you might be affected by the wildfires, check out my other videos. I have other ideas, other itineraries that you might take into consideration visiting this beautiful country. It should be linked up here, playlist. And having said that, if you're wondering how you can build your trips or your itineraries or road trips in Canada in a much easier and faster way, check out this video section where I have mentioned some great ideas, tips, tools that you can use for your next trip planning. So with that, let me know in the comments what you think. I wish you a great day. Stay tuned for the next video, which is right over here. As I mentioned before, keep watching. I'm curious about your insights. See you soon. Goodbye.